What's up, everybody? Welcome to ATL Sports HQ Live Show, the show for the fans by the fans. This is episode number. Whoa, hold on, let me mute that real quick. It's episode number 29. We got the original trio back together again. Finally, it's been a few since it was just the three of us. So, I am Bob Lancaster. You can find me all over social media at Bowling Bob.
I'm Phil Beasley. You can find me at _ATL Phil.
I'm Derek Clemens. You can find me on Twitter at Derek Clemens.
You can follow the site at atlsportshq.com and ATL Sports HQ on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And also, the show can be found on all major podcast sites, including iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. Anywhere that there is podcasting, you can find us. Make sure you go there and rate us 5 stars, please. We would greatly appreciate it. Usually our shows go up 1 or 2 days after we finish, depending on if Derek's not being lazy or not. So... But he gets it up pretty quick. So give us a 5-star rating. And if you're interested in writing for the site, we are actively recruiting. We got a lot going on. We've been covering the big 3 lately. Hawks, going to be a ton going on with the Atlanta Hawks. We got the United in, full gear right now. It's about to be Falcons time again. So, we'd love some Falcons guys. We're going to start talking about free agents and, new guys on that team and doing our player bios coming up on that. So definitely come right first. You can just shoot myself or Phil a message on Twitter, and we'll get you set up. So, but let's start with big news. Obviously, it's been about a month straight now where NBA free agency talk, NBA trade talk has been in full force, and this week didn't disappoint again. Deals are finally official. All your trades have now gone through, but the big news is Kawhi. Spurning the Raptors, but bigger, spurning the Lakers to go to the LA Lakers with Paul George joining him. There's a lot of interesting pieces to that. Phil, what'd you think about that deal?
I was excited. I thought he was going to stay in Toronto, but if he left, I knew it was going to be the Clippers. I don't care what Lakers fans say. He wasn't going there. It made no sense for him. There's nothing that made me think, yeah, Kawhi wants to go team up with a big ego in LeBron and his sidekick Anthony Davis. It made no sense to me. I don't know what Lakers fans were thinking, and all the sources who said it was a sure thing that he was going to go to the Lakers. Come on now, it's Kawhi Leonard. He ain't talking to nobody. Nobody knew what that man was going to do except for him. But in the end, as far as a pure basketball fit, he wanted to go home, and the Clippers made the most sense. And now the Clippers have the best team in LA, and I guarantee they'll win something before the Lakers.
Yeah, what do you think about this deal, Derek? And, also including Paul George in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, that was crazy. I definitely was not expecting that. I don't think anybody was. I mean, the Paul George move. I mean, just Kawhi, the way that he went silently, calling the silent assassin. I mean, he just went silently and recruited Paul George and got him to leave OKC, where just a year ago he said he's here to stay. So, I mean, it's just crazy that he was able to get that second star. And, I mean, it's a big shout-out to the Clippers organization and their front office to find a way to get Paul George there just so they can get Kawhi. And, I mean, it's definitely worth it, even though you're sitting all those picks, because, I mean, right now they're looking like maybe the best team going into the season. But, I mean, I think this was the best fit for Kawhi just because of the type of person he is and his personality. Didn't really see him wanting to be on a team with 3 superstars and with him kind of being pushed back because of the Hall of Fame look for LeBron James and stuff. So I think it was better for him to go to the other Clippers and, I mean, compete against him. I mean, them games in the Staples Center is going to be ridiculous. Everyone's going to be there, and it would be fun to see a playoff series in just straight up Staples Center against those 2 teams.
Yeah, it was an interesting move. I thought that I think he did want to stay with the Raptors, but he hadn't made up his mind that he wanted to play with Paul George. By recruiting Paul George, and doing all that work and stuff like that, but the Raptors just, didn't have the draft capital like Oklahoma City, uh, was able to, or what the trade pieces weren't going to work. Like I said, the draft capital just wasn't there. And so, the Raptors would have had to probably end up getting rid of Pascal, and then, to make that deal work. And I kind of think that Oklahoma City realized that it was time to blow it up when Paul George comes to you, and I'm sure blindsided them with the fact that he didn't want to be there no more. They made that move fairly quickly. Which is surprising to me because they were in total control. Paul George, he was contracted to be there for a lengthy amount of time, having just signed there. So it definitely surprised me. But one thing about the Clippers is Steve Ballmer's not afraid to spend money. He's a huge basketball fan. At one time was rumored to be a potential owner of the new Seattle team until he took over the Clippers. And so he likes basketball. He wants to win. He wants to bring a title to LA, but on his on his side, and especially after having seen the Lakers win and stuff like that, and having yeah, man, it's interesting. I love the deal for the Clippers, and I love, as much as I hate to say it, I love the deal for Oklahoma City. I mean, you give them 5 or 6 years, that team, if they draft correctly, and they have a really, really good front office as far as drafting, they just have a hard time keeping players, not necessarily drafting. So yeah, give them 5 or 6 years, and they're going to be a powerhouse. They're going to build essentially like Philly did. You have to start from the ground down and then hope for the best. But you got to imagine, what else are they going to get for Russell Westbrook when he gets traded away too? You got to figure there's going to be even more number ones coming their way for him. So, but yeah, what are your thoughts as far as the Oklahoma City side, Phil?
They saw that luxury tax bill and sat down and evaluated the rest of the conference and said, is this really worth it? So, it's not. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they had to pay well over $100 million, I think, in just luxury tax on top of their guaranteed salary. So, you shouldn't be doing that unless you're the Golden State Big Five. So they were just hemorrhaging money. Nobody is gonna come play for OKC unless they're like from there or something. I mean, who wants to be out there in the middle of the sand or whatever kind of dirt they have out there? They don't have.
Who wants to look at tornadoes and dust balls going across those? But Derek, one thing I want to ask you is, do you think in your mind this confirms that Russell Westbrook's been the problem there? Because now we have another player that's bailed on Oklahoma City. Or do you think that Paul George just realized this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to win a championship?
I think the big part of him leaving, because, I mean, he even came out and said it had nothing to do with Russ, but because he's finally got that chance to play in LA without LeBron being there also. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he has a chance to play with Kawhi Leonard, someone who literally just came off ending the Warriors dynasty. So, I mean, that's one of the best opportunities you're going to have to go back to your home place. But I think it's hard to put it all on Russ. I think you can put some blame on Russell and some of the decision he makes, and he just has that one attitude is just hard. No matter what, he just goes fast, and that can hurt you in some points. But I think it's really just what Phil was talking about, just their money situation. They never had pieces to put around those two guys. I mean, they're passing out to people that can't shoot, and they can never make a move in the offseason or make a trade before the deadline to get guys that can knock down them shots. So, I mean, just the role players that were put around them weren't constructed well enough for them to have success in the playoffs, because, I mean, that's one of the most important things in the playoffs. So, I mean, I think they're both to blame, the front office and Russell at times. But, I mean, it just seemed like Phil said it was time for the Thunder to do this. And when they started to hear the rumblings of Paul George and Russell unhappy because they kept losing in the first round, it was definitely the right time to do it.
Last question on this topic, Phil. Where do you think he goes, Russell Westbrook? Do you think it's going to be the Heat, or do you see him going back to the Rockets, or going back to James Harden?
Man, that Heat fit would be disgusting. Him and Jimmy Butler, and then I don't know about that. And also, you know, the way James Harden has changed his game to pretty much need the ball in his hands, I don't know about that fit either. I see New York maybe getting desperate and trying to throw together a package. But, you know, who do they really have? I mean, I guess they can give another package of picks. But I don't see it.
I just don't see who, you know, speaking of those two teams, Rockets and Heat, what could really be offered? I mean, it's got to be just the craziest amount of package to be able to get him. I mean,
yeah, what do the Rockets have? And the Heat, what do the Heat even have?
You're almost better off. They're going to be almost better off putting together a 3-team trade to where more capital can go to the Thunder to make a deal happen. But I can't see any other team wanting to jump in to go make the Heat better or the Rockets better, you know, and who, you know, after all said and done, who's got the money to do that, you know? So, you know, this
boy, Dougie said he's going to the Magic.
Yeah, I mean that's a very real possibility too. So it seems like he wants to go the Heat. So it'll be interesting to see. That'll be this week's drama after the Kawhi drama last week.
I definitely don't see the Rockets happening. I think that is a long shot. I mean, because they would have to, I'm assuming, unload Chris Paul in that trade too.
And OKC's not going to want Chris Paul.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So there would have to be a third team involved for that. And then, I mean, the Heat fit, he's interested in there, and the Heat are trying to do stuff. They've been moving people all offseason. I mean, they're trying to make changes and trying to get past that little line that they're at where they're just right at the playoff line. And a team, though, that wouldn't surprise me to try to make a move. I don't know if they have enough, but is the Pistons.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of, when Blake Griffin was a free agent, there was talks about him teaming up with Russell and going to OKC. And then one time the Thunder were in the noise to trade for Blake Griffin when he was still on the Clippers. But I think the Pistons might look at that and try to come together with a deal. But I just don't know what they could put together that the Thunder would be like, yeah, that's what we want. So I think it's more likely that the Heat would get it. But, I mean, I also think the Thunder might not get into a rush and force it this season. They might wait another year. I mean, they also got Gilgeous-Alexander, which would be a great fit with Russell side by side because they both can take care of the ball. But I don't know. I don't see the Thunder, and they have mighty respect for Russell and Paul George. I mean, you've seen how they treated him when he asked for a trade. They have respect for those guys, so they're not going to send them somewhere they don't want to be.
Well, it's not like, again, let's not act like Oklahoma City got bamboozled here. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a great piece for them to get, and they immediately went to the first guy that you're going to ask best young rookie player. So again, I thought it was a fantastic deal, and it was fantastic, and it was a no-brainer deal for Oklahoma City to make. It frees it up. You know, you're not winning this year. And they're committed to that. They know that they need to just restart it. It clearly wasn't working with Russell Westbrook. So, you've won no championships with him. So, and so they do blow it up, start all over again, and see if it'll work with, building pieces with young guys and a bunch of number one picks. Some of those will be able to be traded when you do put the pieces together to where you could possibly bring in another star. And it allows them to be a potential big 2, big 3 location. But like Phil said, I just don't see them convincing people to play there because Oklahoma is not like a destination place to go to build your big 2, big 3. So
I'll probably put Oklahoma City as the the 30th out of 30
Mhm.
as far as NBA.
No, Minnesota's far worse than that. Man.
I don't know.
Cleveland.
Minnesota's a
Cleveland.
bigger city, though. And
No one's going to Cleveland.
Closer. Cleveland, you're close to like Chicago.
Yeah.
Cleveland's got a lot of stuff. You got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You got a lot of stuff too. There's the Football Hall of Fame nearby. Man, what does Minnesota got? They got snow and ice fishing. That's about
Minnesota
it.
might be the worst.
I think Christian Leitner in his 30 for 30 was like, man, that was the worst nightmare ever living there. But all right, so let's move on from that. Let's get into winners and losers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually include trades here. We can do trades, free agents. Who were your two biggest winners and two biggest losers, Phil?
Oh, gotta go Brooklyn and the Clippers. Explains itself, really. You know, KD and
15, baby.
And then Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I mean, the Clippers just acquired two all-defensive players, two top 10 players in the league. So one could argue that's even better than Brooklyn's Haul. I mean, who knows how KD's going to come off that Achilles? Kyrie Irving, he might go join Illuminati or something. So, so who knows how that's going to go? So I got to put the Clippers up here, and then Brooklyn.
How about your two losers?
Two losers, Suns, and what's that other one? I gotta go to Lakers because they were waiting, and then of course the Knicks. But the Knicks get their own little story. They were waiting and probably missed out on a few guys waiting on Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, that's worth a guy waiting for, though. I mean, I'd wait too. So, all right, Derek, who are your two biggest winners and two biggest losers?
Number one winner is the NBA in whole because it is now balanced and it's going to be very, very fun to watch next year. And I wish Kevin Durant wasn't injured because that would make it even better. All these duos on every team spread out throughout the East and the West, it'd be a great year. But for the second winner, it has to be the Clippers. On paper, they look like the best roster, how they're set up defensive-wise. And then they have those offensive sparks, those dogs there. I mean, they're going to be a fun team to watch, and they're going to shut a lot of teams down, especially in the playoffs. Losers, definitely the Suns. I mean, their biggest thing they did, even counting the draft, I mean, they're a lottery team and couldn't even get a good guy in the draft. I mean, they got a good player, but not something they need. And then their biggest signing was Ricky Rubio. So for $50 million, I think it was 3 years, $50 million. So, I mean, that's definitely a L. I'm not high on Ricky Rubio, especially when they had a chance to get D'Angelo Russell. But second loser.
Good old Ricky Ruby below.
Yeah.
Can't stand that guy.
No. Especially for $50 million. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Second loser. I guess the Knicks, just because of the high hopes that the media and themselves gave them of getting all three, and then they got none. And then they're just signing guys. They're just signing names, really, because they have like 4 power forwards right now.
Like, oh, look, Knicks fans, we did something. Right?
Yeah, I think that some of those signings were really good, like the Julius Randle signing.
Yeah.
And then they just also, I think they got the better Morris twin to flip from the Spurs to come there. So, I mean, I think he's very good too. So, I mean, they have players, but it's like they just said, here, we're just going to draft the people we can get because they have like 4 point guards and 4 power forwards and really no shooters like that. So, I don't know.
That's going to, quietly, that's going to be an interesting story because that Morris deal with him reneging on that deal with the Spurs has financial implications otherwise through I was looking at the article about it today, and there's more teams that are involved with, however, with him not signing with the Spurs. I didn't quite really understand how it worked, but it's just something to pay attention. For me, winners, Clippers, man. I mean, they went from being a team that may be an 8 to possibly being a championship contending team. You add 2 stars with a depth of what they already have. They have the best 6-man player in the league. So you have good bench depth. Shai Gilgeous is a big loss for them. But you know what? When you're going for the now, you know it's going to cost you some of those guys. You know, and they didn't. You know, they realized they had a chance to go for the now, and so you know it was time. You know, time to make that move. You know, second biggest winner for me. As much as it pains me to say, Oklahoma City. You know, again, you look at the list of number one picks, first round picks that they have going through for the next 6-7 years. It's sickening. I mean, you know, they again, if they draft right and do things correctly, they are going to not miss losing, you know, like they are the next few years. And so it's just going to be, they're going to be a force. I mean, again, I hate saying it, just being, you know, hating the Thunder as much as I do, but it was the best thing possible for them. Biggest losers, I'm going to go with players. First one was Boogie. I mean, having to take another 1 year. I mean, good pickup by the Lakers to get him, but Boogie having to take another 1 year and having zero interest on the free agent market, you know, just kind of surprising. I mean, I thought that he would get more interest in Jimmy Butler, and I was wrong, you know. So I thought he was one of the biggest losers. But my number one biggest loser, Dennis Schroeder. Man, how kicked off do you think he is stuck playing for a rebuild? We can kind of laugh about it here in Atlanta now after he shafted everybody. You know, oh, I'm tired of playing for a rebuild.
He better ask for a trade himself, because even if the Thunder trade away Russ, he's not going to be a starter next year, because Alexander, he's better than him already.
Yeah.
I really don't see an argument about it, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just, you know, that, you know, he signs that deal after talking smack, and then, you know, here it is where he's in the exact same situation that, you know, that he now in Oklahoma City, where
in the West too, which is even worse.
Yeah,
it's harder to get back.
I think that's a worse situation.
Yeah, there's nothing there. You're in a crappy ass city with nothing to do on a losing team.
Yeah,
man.
I don't think his hookah lounge would do very well with Oklahoma City.
Breaking though.
Maybe he'll open up a country bar. What are the chances?
The Warriors just got a big piece.
Yeah, but I definitely thought he was the biggest loser. As soon as when all this happened and I started seeing, and then Westbrook talking about trading out, I was like, oh, poor Dennis, had to talk shit on the way out, and here we are. So, but all right, best team in LA now, Phil, Lakers or Clippers?
Oh, it's got to be the Clippers. I can't understand how people are saying otherwise. This Clippers team pushed the Warriors to 6 games and won. How many games did they win? 44, 45, 46? The one in the 40s, basically didn't lose anything. Add Kawhi Leonard, add Paul George. I don't understand how anybody could say that they're better than the makeshift Lakers team. Who, okay, they have LeBron, they have Anthony Davis. Who's their point guard? Don't tell me LeBron. Yeah, I know he's going to bring the ball up the floor, but you still need that point guard, I think. They lost half their depth. They're going to have so much media focused on them that, you know, as soon as they win 2 or 3 games, it's just going to be chatter. There's no way that I could see from a basketball perspective that the Lakers are a better team than the Clippers right now.
Lakers or Clips, Derek?
On paper, right now, the Clippers. But later on, you never know. Matchups, I think people forget how good Anthony Davis actually really is. And at this moment right now, there's not a lot on the Clippers that can guard him. But that doesn't mean a lot, because, I mean, there's 5 other guys on the court. So right now, on paper, the Clippers have the better constructed roster. So we'll just wait and see just how the Lakers' chemistry goes, and if they can get it together, if LeBron can get back and be better from that injury that he had last season. I mean, he never really came back and looked the same after the injury. So if we had to pick someone right now, I'd definitely pick the Clippers.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to take the Clippers as well, just bench depth to me. I mean, again, you know, the Lakers are going to put out a bunch of unknowns for bench depth. But I really like the move of getting Cousins for 1 year. You have the comfort factor of Anthony Davis and Cousins having played together before, which it hasn't really been talked about that much. So they're comfortable with each other. It looks like they are going to move LeBron to the point. So, and he does a decent job of moving the ball, spreading the ball around. And so, I mean, it's not like the Lakers are going to be bad. That's going to be an awesome rivalry to go through this year, between those two. So, but yeah, I'm like you. If I had to pick one right now, I'd say the Clippers are the better, but the Lakers aren't that far behind. I think it just comes to 1 through 12, the Clippers are better than the Lakers are. So,
an upper hand that in the playoffs that the Clippers will have is Doc Rivers is on the end of that bench.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Frank Vogel's not a bad coach.
No, he's not.
I just don't know if he can handle those egos. He had the underdog Pacers teams that were like a close bunch, a team. Now he has,
it's like we talked about at work today. We're like, who do you want? Who do you want coming off the bench in a big game? Do you want Lou Williams or do you want Rajon Rondo? I mean, come on, that to me says a lot right there. We're talking about the first guy off the bench, so, but yeah, so it looks like, we all agree on the Clippers, but now let's talk about early championship prediction. Are you going with the Clippers, Phil, to win the whole thing?
I'm going with the Clippers, and that'll mean back-to-back Finals MVPs for Kawhi Leonard and 3 with 3 different teams. This man is amazing. I don't even understand. I think it's not talked about enough, because if he does this and leads another team to a championship, that's crazy.
How about you, Derek? Right now, if you had to pick one to win the championship,
right now it's the Clippers. I mean, that depth, the defense, there's no drop off from the defensive end at all. So that's constant defensive pressure off the bench, the second unit, and then the first unit coming back in and bringing that same pressure. Kawhi Leonard, I mean, he's just a killer. Like, what I seen him do in the playoffs this year is just ridiculous. And I knew he had it in him. Like, people tend to forget about his offensive ability, and he just proved everyone wrong this season. So I mean, I think he's gonna be even better next year because he was fighting an injury. I mean, people forget that his leg was messed up. You've seen him limping in the finals and stuff. So, I mean, and then you add Paul George to that mix, who can go out and score in the clutch. I mean, he can't hit the last second shot. I guess he did hit one last season, but he can't hit the last second shot. But he makes those shots where it matters.
They got Kawhi for that.
Yeah, you have Kawhi Leonard to do the last second. But I think right now they're the favorites. But I'm ready for this question halfway through the season and see what happens.
I'm going to shock the world here. I'm taking the Golden State Warriors.
I knew you were going to say them.
I think underrated throughout this whole thing is the fact that D'Angelo Russell is in Golden State, coming off what was a fantastic year for him last year. And so, again, you talk about a twosome, 2 guys playing together. Steph Curry and D'Angelo Russell make a nice little tandem as well in the West. I mean, that West is going to be just like devastatingly good this year. So, I'm definitely excited to watch some of them games. So, but hold on, I think my cat's about ready to make an appearance on the ATL Sports HQ show today. So, but yeah, I'm going to say Golden State. They may have lost, one big guy and then, losing, another one to injury. But yeah, again, it's not a lot been talked about with D'Angelo, but I thought that was a big pickup for them. So I'm going to take them. So our last topic on as far as the NBA, they are now adopting the coaches challenge. What do you think about that, Derek?
Well, I was with it until I seen another tweet, and it said that it includes personal fouls. That is something I am not on board with. I think that is going to hurt the game a little bit because, I mean, that's just part of basketball. I mean, it's been part of basketball forever, even outside of a professional setting. I mean, you call your own fouls, and there's no challenges or, oh, no, that's not a foul or something. Like, if it's called a foul, it's a foul. So, I mean, I don't like that part, but I think the out of bounds and 3-point, 2-point, I guess they really kind of already had that. But everything else, I'm with it. I think it'll help in some cases, and you can't really get cheated anymore.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Instant replay in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea. You know, and with the foul thing, even you probably only get one challenge a game, so it's not like 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, and there's a tic tac questionable foul, and the game is just going to be stopping every 5 minutes for a challenge. It'll probably only be in the last 2 minutes, crucial situations. I bet it won't even be used that much because anything big like out of bounds and all that kind of stuff is going to be reviewed anyway. So this will be mainly used for fouls and stuff.
Yeah, I just don't see the point of it. Again, but I haven't seen it used in the summer league, so I'm not really sure the utilization of it. But like you just said, exactly what I was going to say, Phil. That when you got to look at a shot or anything like that, that's replayed at the counter. I don't understand what the need that there was such a big need of missed calls. I'd love to see what the percentage was last year of of missed calls. I don't know if that's a report that's given out or anything, but I'd definitely like to see if it wasn't like 4% or 5% missed calls or higher or whatever. I just don't see the need for it. I do see the need for it in the NFL, but definitely not in the NBA. So I'm not a fan, and but we'll have to see how that works. And going into the regular season, it'll only take one call for that benefits the Hawks, and that'll change my mind. So when it goes our way, but when it goes against us, I'll hate it. So, so that'd be something we'll keep an eye on. But speaking of the Hawks, though, busy week for them. Omari Spellman, fresh off of hitting the buffet in Vegas a little too many times, got traded. Tell that deal, Phil.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Omari Spellman, he didn't look too good in his 2 summer league games. You could tell he was overweight. So the Hawks said, "Well, yeah, we're not doing this." So after 1 season, we gave up on him. We get a 2026 second round pick, and we get in exchange 24-year-old center Damian Jones from the Golden State Warriors. Not a huge groundbreaking name, but he can run the floor. He can defend well. He can defend the paint, get a few blocks, get some rebounds. 5 points and 3 rebounds last year with the Warriors. Could see a bigger role here. So, this is the type of signings or type of moves we make. Hopefully, this can end up like the Dwayne Dedman, or maybe even like Alex Len, that kind of scenario where they just need a fresh little start. But all respect to Amari, it was more than him just not being able to keep the weight down. There was obviously some lifestyle things involved in there. Otherwise, we would not give up on a first round pick after just 1 season. So he must, there were some quotes that were a little telling, talking about, it's one thing to be in the gym every day, but that's not all it takes. So obviously he was still not eating right. I'm sure there's some behind the scenes stuff. Hopefully we can get the scoop on that sooner than later. But, I wish him well. He has a high motor. He's a good guy. He's a good player. And he has the skill. He just has to have that attitude.
Yeah. It does. We haven't had very many Travis Schlenk misses in our time here. And I think this was definitely a Travis Schlenk miss based upon that. I think that they thought that, they could keep him in good physical shape. So were you surprised by this deal, Derek?
I was kind of surprised, but I'm not mad at it. I actually think it was the right thing to do. I mean, we have seen a way different guy than what we drafted when we drafted him. I mean, if you've seen him at Villanova, he looked nothing like he does now. But I mean, there are reports that he struggled throughout his whole life with weight loss. But Villanova had him in shape, and then I mean, the progress just went down over the year. I mean, he lost weight, then gained it back, and then added more to it. And I mean, you don't want to see that. And I mean, I wish the best for him. And I think him going to the Warriors is a perfect opportunity because of what Draymond Green did. I mean, he dropped like 30 pounds in a few months. And so, I mean, I think they'll have a chance to help him get right. And I mean, we got a center that can run the floor, like Phil said. I mean, he can run the floor, and that's something that Spellman wasn't going to be able to do. Not on the other side, Damian Jones, he can't stretch the floor like Spellman can. But we're going to talk about him in a minute. We filled that role. But I think it was the right thing to do. And I mean, I think fans they believe in Schlink so much that they think that he's never going to draft a miss. And I think that's why a lot of them want to hold on to Spellman and say we're giving up a very valuable piece, but I just don't see it that way.
I was actually more surprised with this trade coming into on the other side, actually, with Damian Jones being given up on by Golden State. So that kind of surprised me. I had heard last year that they were pretty big on Damian Jones. So I'm kind of curious as to what what went wrong there. On their side, we knew we know the weight issue with Spellman. Played the biggest part on our end, but I was just kind of surprised that Golden State made that move. So, but they may see something a little differently in Spellman and more. He may be a little more physical, being a bigger guy, and the center, playing the center role. So, but I like it. I mean, again, if you're not committed to Spellman, let him go. Let's get what we can get out of him, and and it is what it is. It's not like not a major move or anything. It was just surprising because I think a lot of us had Omari Spellman counted in, with the roster this year. So it kind of came out of nowhere. But another move that kind of quietly came out of nowhere, Jabari Parker signing 2 years, $13 million. Phil, what are your thoughts on this deal?
I really like this move. When Jabari is healthy, he is a very talented offensive player. You didn't hear anything about him last year, but quietly he scored 15 points a game on like 49% shooting. I mean, the dude can play. He hasn't lived up to the hype coming out of college. He was a very high player. He does have a season of 20 points per game in Milwaukee before Giannis took over. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But you bring him in here with a great coach, a nice system, a good point guard, which he's never played with. I really think this is a great low-risk, high-reward move for the Hawks. And, the second year is a player option. So, if he doesn't do that good, he can opt in. It's only $6.5 million. We have $80 million next year, and not a lot of free agents out there. As long as we have that money clear for 2021. But and if he does good, he can potentially stay here on a bigger deal or go get him a deal. He has all the incentive to have a good year, to stay healthy. Same with Chandler Parsons. I still believe that he can have a little something in the tank too. I pulled up his stats from like the last 20 or so games down the stretch last year, and his numbers were decent too. So we got some guys with a lot to prove, and if they can stay healthy, they're going to be major contributors. Same with Allen Crabbe. They're going to be major contributors on this team next year.
Yeah, since you brought it up, I'll just throw that into the Hawks acquired for Chandler Parsons from the Grizzlies in exchange for Solomon Hill and the legendary Miles Plumlee. So our best wishes to Miles Plumlee. He had some legendary games with us. It was sad that he had to go, but move on there, Miles. But what were your thoughts on, now that we're talking, what were your thoughts on both deals, Jabari and for Chandler Parsons, Derek?
I'll start with Parsons just so it'll be a little quicker. But I mean, it was just a little money thing. They're both the same. Chandler Parsons wanted out of the Minnesota, the Grizzlies in Memphis. And so, I mean, the Hawks were willing to do it if they took 2 contracts that would add up to around the same. Parsons seems like he's glad to be in Atlanta. He's been in Vegas with the team, the Summer League team, hanging out with Trey and Collins and them. I'm fine with that trade. I mean, it's not going to hurt us because he's gone on an expiring contract. So, I mean, it's not really a big deal. It's a veteran wing, too, so he can teach them a little things, the rookies. But the Jabari signing, I was very surprised by this, and I was very happy by it when I saw it. I mean, like Phil said, this is a low risk, high reward. And, I mean, the money is nothing because next year we have all of it, all the money that we could ask for. His offensive talent is just really, really, really good, and he continued to show to get better on that end. Now, the only sign is that defense. But I think Pierce and playing with these young guys that are all still learning, with him being young too, he's really not going to have no expectation to be a defensive stopper because they're all learning together. I mean, our defense wasn't really good last season as a team. So they're going to all be working together on the defensive end. So, I mean, I have hopes that he can at least hold his ground on the defensive end. But, I mean, coming off the bench, he's going to be an offensive problem for opposing second units, and I'm happy with the signing. I think he's going to be great with the team. I even think a lineup of Young, either Herter or Reddish, Hunter, and then throw Jabari and Collins out there. I think that would be a fun lineup to see at one point.
Yeah, you guys both said the things I was going to say. First, low risk, high reward. And what a lot of people don't realize is that we don't think, or you forget that Jabari Parker is still so young. He came into the league as young, had the phenomenal rookie season, then got hurt. And so, but yeah, he's 20, I think 24 or 25 years old.
I think it's 24, yeah.
Yeah. So you got the youth and everything like that. So I love that deal. $6 million to me for him. I thought it was, again, that's the low risk to it. It's not costing us anything. We got money to use. And it's not like it's going into keeping us from a free agent. So, and then you said the other thing about Chandler Parsons, veteran wing. If we lose Vince Carter, which is sounding more and more like the day it's going to happen, you need a guy like Chandler Parsons in that locker room to also, become the vet, the guy that the assistant coach is what I like to call him, another assistant coach there to, you just got to have those pieces in there, especially, you lost Bays, so there was another veteran voice that you lost in that locker room. And so I really like the move just for that sake. I don't think he's going to really make an impact. But another thing about Chandler Parsons is, when he was with Dallas, it's not like he was a slouch player, so maybe a motivated Chandler Parsons might come back and, have a really, really good season, motivated with Atlanta. So, I was kind of surprised that he wanted out of Memphis, though, because it seems like Memphis is an on the rise team. So, but I'll take him. I mean, again, veteran wing, and when we need a couple vets to fill those roles, especially, like I said, if Vince doesn't come back. So, what do we want to talk about here? Let's talk about the free agent list. 2021 is starting to look like an incredible free agent list, Phil.
Yeah, 2021 has everybody. Pull it up again. That's not what I wanted. But pretty much it's the who's who of the NBA. So most of the guys, of course, will probably re-up or a lot of the older ones, but some notable ones: Blake Griffin, Paul George, Gordon Hayward, Mike Conley, DeMar DeRozan, C.J. McCollum, Otto Porter, Drew Holiday, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, Bradley Beal, Drummond, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'll let that one sink in. Steven Adams, Marcus Aldridge, Nicholas Batum, well, he'll be like 50. Victor Oladipo. So, some very high-level names out there in 2021.
I just don't see the Hawks making a move in 2021. To be honest with you, um I just think that we have enough pieces now to where what we're building is going to be better than what's going to be out there in 2021. Not counting Giannis, I think Giannis would be the prize, obviously. So, and I can't see him leaving the Bucks. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to just think that what we're building here eliminates the need to have to go out and make an acquisition like that. But it's nice to know that the names are out there. So, but Derek, you been checking out any of this summer league action?
Unfortunately, I've watched a few. I watched the first game, and I watched most of the. I watched some of the first game. I watched all of the second game. Today, I turned it on for about maybe a quarter, and it got so boring I had to cut it off. I did see a few Bruno plays that I enjoyed. He looks pretty good. I've mostly in summer league I've been watching the Celtics. I think they've been fun to watch just because their rookies are actually playing. That's the big problem. I mean, a lot of rookies throughout the league aren't even playing, and it's actually unfortunate because the summer league. I mean, last year was fun to watch. The year when Lonzo was a rookie, that was fun to watch. And now, I mean, it's hard to even keep it on the TV in the background because it's so hard to watch.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Phil. What are your thoughts on the great Jalen Adams?
Oh, I wasn't a fan of him during the season. I thought we were crazy to finish out the season with him at backup man. If Trey would have got hurt, oh my goodness, I would have had to burn my eyes out. But he looks even worse in summer league than he did in the regular season last year. It's just he can't make the right plays. He can't get a shot. He's missing the open guy, missing the open passes. It's just he does not look like an NBA point guard, and he's playing out there with a G League team. He doesn't look like a G League point guard.
I think all three of us, when we had the radio show after Schlenk made the announcement that Jalen was coming back, kind of all groaned a little bit. So, yeah, he has not looked good in the summer league whatsoever. So, yeah, I've caught just a couple games here and there, and I don't really have the interest in it to stick through essentially exhibition game of future G League players. So it just hasn't been. I watched the Zion RJ matchup, just because of
and that was over at halftime.
Yeah, the hype factor, and it was over by halftime. So, but you think that Phil, that this Hawks team can make the playoffs this year?
I think they can. I do think a lot of Hawks fans need to calm down, calling it a lock and saying we have the best young core. Relax. We also lost a lot last year. Losing Taurean Prince and Kent Bazemore, and likely Vince Carter is big on the locker room. And we were relatively healthy last year. Trae Young played 81 games. John Collins only missed about 5 games after missing the first 15 or so. So you got to factor in things like that. Also, overall, top to bottom, the East is a little better this year. So it's going to be an uphill battle. Can we make it? Yes. On paper, I have us maybe ranked 10th. I would have us right there on the outside looking in, anywhere between 33 and 39 wins. But they obviously can't make it if everything goes well and we stay healthy and we gel and we play some defense. Then we can make it.
Derek, you think this is a playoff team?
I think it's a possibility. But that don't mean you're a playoff team. I think if you have the possibility to make it, I mean, it's because playoff team's really a guarantee, and it's definitely not that. And some of these Hawks fans on Twitter, I mean, I love the fan base, but sometimes they get out of hand and their confidence is out the roof. Guarantee. Yeah. I've seen people guaranteeing 7th, 6th seed, and we're going to struggle to get to the 8th seed, I believe.
I definitely say a 4 seed.
Okay, yeah. Then I would have probably blocked them because I would never want to see any of their opinions again. But it's a possibility. But I would not go into the season expecting it. I think, I mean, you're adding three rookies that's never played in the league, and they're going to play a lot of the minutes. I mean, one of them is going to be a starter, and another one is going to maybe even start it by the end of the season. So
Yeah, and it's not going to be all peaches and roses like we've
no,
been lucky with Trey Young and John Collins and Kevin Huerter the last 2 years. It should be expected for these rookies to struggle. We have gotten very, very lucky. This isn't the normal.
Are we going to make the playoffs? Man, I don't know. What I care about, are we a better team? Yes, I think we are a better team. You know, are we getting there? Yes, we're getting there. You know, if we make the playoffs, that's great. You know, let's be excited that we're back in. You know, I would say essentially that is a 2 years ahead of schedule. I mean, I would say not even a year. I would say we're 2 years ahead of schedule in this rebuild. And kudos to Coach Lloyd Pierce and Travis Schlenk for getting us there. Again, I thought that we hit the draft jackpot this year. Having Reddish fall to us at 10, and so that to me put us a year, another year ahead. I think the fact that our draft picks, last year ended up being better than we thought they were going to be, especially, Kevin, I think was a surprise to a lot of people. And so, again, if they make it, that's great, but I want to see a better product out there. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a gradual improvement. I would be happy with, 36 to 40 wins. I wouldn't be disappointed with that at all. So if that gets us to the playoffs, that gets us to the playoffs. So let's move on though to the big three. Big three, we covered it this weekend. Shout out to our guy Jeremy for sitting down there on the baseline, shooting some awesome pictures. We'll have that gallery up coming up here soon. I think Phil will be handling a little bit of a write-up and then throwing up the pictures for us on the site. Joe Johnson had a really, really good day. Do you think that Joe Johnson has a future in the NBA again, Phil?
I think he could help out a contender, go sit in the corner and hit some corner threes. I think he could, but honestly, he's probably having more fun in the big three, playing ISO ball and pretty much dominating the league. They go to 50, and he's averaging over 20 points a game, I believe. So I think he's better off staying there, but I'm sure the paycheck would be a little better in the NBA. I'm not sure how the compensation works for Big Three, but I'm sure it can't be much. What a 6-game season.
Derek, you think Joe Johnson's got any chance, or anybody in the Big Three for that matter?
Well, when I seen that Monte Ellis and Amari Stoudemire were getting a workout and they had 15, I believe, 15 teams, and I mean, I haven't seen Monte Ellis play, but Amari Stoudemire's in the Big Three, and I mean, he just looks awful. And something that people don't realize is, I mean, yeah, Joe Johnson, I mean, he looks great, but they're playing half-court basketball, and a lot of those guys they stop playing defense after the first 6 points because they're tired. I mean, so this ain't NBA level, and I mean, I'm not saying he can't, because I think if those guys are getting looked at by 15 NBA teams, then I think he can get a look at least.
I think it was only 15 NBA teams because everybody was in Vegas.
I think that, I mean, even the Hawks were there. I seen their Hawks name came up. So, I mean, I do think that did play out. But I think there were actually a few teams that were interested in him, which is kind of crazy to me, especially Stoudemire. I don't know if y'all two have seen him play.
Yeah, he's been out the league for, 5 years now?
He looks skinny. He don't even look strong no more.
I froze in the middle of that talk. So I was like, I thought I was gone. So I was just gonna say, I agree with Derek 100%. This is half court exhibition basketball. I mean, the biggest thing to me that I got out of watching the Big Three was that Josh Smith still just does nothing but shoot the ball all over the court, doesn't ever pass. Nothing's changed since the last time I saw Josh Smith touch a basketball, and I was like, man, I never missed him the minute he left Atlanta. So, but I mean, there was some good playing. It was good to see some of those guys. they were very, very friendly. I mean, Steven Jackson was, from what I heard, was awesome with media, giving interviews and stuff like that. In fact, E from Game Time Radio got a really good interview with him over on the Game Time Radio page. So, that's what you like to see in something like that. When an exhibition is, you want it to be a fan-friendly event and everything. So, shout out to Big Three for.
They chose a terrible time to come to Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you. It was a busy weekend in general. So, but last question about Big Three before we move on, Derek. Does this have staying power?
I think it does. I mean, they've grown a little bit. I mean, they got bigger names this season. I mean, Joe Johnson. Who else? Gilbert Arenas. Did he play last year? I don't know. But they got a lot of new.
Struggled with injury last year or something. But
Okay.
he's playing good this year.
I mean, they have, and I mean, they're getting some decent crowds in some areas. And I mean, it obviously grew because they're sending teams to different places and having multiple teams play at the same time and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's definitely growing. And I mean, I think Ice Cube is doing the progress well, getting these guys to come in. And I think they need to try to get more guys like Joe Johnson that are fresh out of the league because it will be more entertaining basketball. So I think it's going to have some staying.
You know who I want to see in the Big Three? Carmelo, because I want to see his ass in the NBA.
He's going to be on the Lakers.
I think Joe Johnson's better than Carmelo Anthony at this point. So Carmelo's done, dude. I'll say I ain't afraid. I called him washed last week, and he is washed. So
I can never disrespect Melo. That was one of my favorite players growing up. I'll never disrespect him.
There's a difference, man. There's a difference. Carmelo, when you were growing up, was an elite player. Carmelo Anthony, when you're an older guy, is not an elite player anymore. I loved Carmelo Anthony as well. So, but he just isn't Carmelo no more, man. I mean, his game just isn't there anymore. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're a lot like me, Derek. The fact that I hate to see when my guy, you start to see the decline of his career. I saw it a lot on the baseball side of things with Dale Murphy. My favorite guy, but man, the last 3 or 4 years of his career were brutal to watch because he was so terrible. And it's like, dang, I wish he would have hung it up at the twilight of his career, but he never really got that chance to hang it up, win the title, go out in a glory. And I think he's still searching for that. So, but Phil, do you think the Big Three has any staying power?
I think so. I think they got to keep exploring some of those medium-sized cities like they're doing a little more this year. I think the crowds have been better there. It's just, hey, look at this. This is something cool we don't see every day. The Atlanta crowd was bad, but 4th of July weekend, anybody that has anything to do with real basketball was in Vegas. United played at the same time, which is why I wasn't there, of course. Braves played at the same time. I think that was a big gaffe on their part. So they gotta really do their homework as far as scheduling and locations, I think. But they have a great TV deal. It seems like their TV deal gets better every year. If you remember the first year, they weren't even live. They were playing Sundays and they weren't airing till Monday night. Now they have 2 days a week live on FS1, or is it CBS Sports? One of those. So they're doing good, and they have a good face of the league. I really think they just need one more. If they could get like Kobe to come, or someone like that, or maybe even mix it up, have the regular teams, but then like one of how they do 2 days. One of the days have the regular teams, and then the other day do like a pickup sort of thing, where they just draft their guys live right there and run some pickup games.
There will always be a place for the legends. That's it just every sport that puts together a legends game or things like that, people get interested. You still want to follow your guy, like Derek with Carmelo. You still want to follow that guy, and they're interesting for what it is. But I think they need to do a better job of promotion. Because really, had they not come to us, I would have known nothing about it. The fact that they did come to us, made me look at it with a little more interest. The fact that they're possibly covering it. So, But yeah, I mean, it has staying power. I don't know again if they'll be able to run the big arenas or anything like that. So
I looked at the one thing I just noticed. I just want to say it, but they came to Indianapolis a few weeks ago, and I looked at the prices, and it was for a seat that I got for the Hawks game last year, and it was like $20 more than what the Hawks Pacers game was. I was like, oh hell no, I'm not going.
I thought honestly the cool part for me was getting to see Lamar Odom healthy and playing on the court again. I mean, you got to figure this is a guy that 2 years ago was on his deathbed. I mean, literally on his deathbed.
At least you didn't say what Stephen A. said. That's what I thought was coming.
To me, I was just happy to see him out there. So it's good. Yeah, that again, you would have never thought to see him on a court again. How bad a shape he was in. So shout out to Lamar Odom for getting back out on the court. But let's get to the Atlanta Braves. We're at the halfway mark. All-Star game today. You've got a score here. I'm not paying attention to it.
Tushar said 1-0 a few minutes ago. I don't know if that's still correct. Let me pull it up and see. Okay, ESPN doesn't want to put it.
Yeah, of course, it never does. Anyways, Braves are 54-37 at the halfway mark. 6 games over the surprisingly Nationals, who have been playing very, very well lately, and then 6.5 over the Philadelphia Phillies. So
1-0, bottom of the third. American League up.
American League's won 6 in a row. The National League just can't beat those guys. So, yeah. So, the question I have, we'll just go with, since it is at a halfway point. Phil, what was your best moment for the Braves in the first half?
And it might have been the moment that was just the other day. That amazing throw to save the game. I mean, you talk about bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, 0 out, you're up 1 run. Trying to end the first half on a high note, and you pretty much save it like that. You don't want that. You would not want to go in to the All-Star break with another blown save, having to think about that for 3, 4, 5 days. That's just not how you want it to go out. What an amazing play, all the way from opposite field, beating the guy at home plate. That was play of the year so far, I think. That and the first Brian McCann walk-off.
Yeah. Derek, you have any moments? I know you've been actively watching every game this year. So
I haven't watched a single Braves game this season, which is – I watched a few last season, but this season I've watched literally like 2 Reds games, and that's about it. I think I'm totally done with baseball.
What question? What did you get a chance to see those Reds uniforms on Sunday?
The cutoffs?
With them wearing the vest with their guns hanging out?
I did see those, and
yeah.
I see a tweet look big as hell.
I know some people on social media was probably mad about that.
Oh, yeah, you already know.
Everybody was wanting Dansby Swanson to be wearing one of those things. So. I never seen more thirsty women on my timeline than watching some of them Reds guys in those uniforms. So it was pretty bad. But Phil stole my thunder. Both moments for me that I'll remember in the first half, Brian McCann's walk-off, just because it really, really started setting the tone for them to, go on a tear winning-wise. And then second moment for me, obviously, was Sunday. I mean, you just can't state how huge that was. A play by Culberson is the fact that he makes that throw coming in as a defensive replacement, which is why he was even in there to begin with. And then you get to go into the All-Star break thinking about a win and a monster win, and like that. And instead of having to think about, hey, we blew a save, and now we have to think about that all week. So I think that was a massive, massive win for the Braves. So. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on them. We'll be talking about them a little bit more because trading deadline's coming up here soon. So and the Braves, I guarantee you, will be making some moves. I just can't see them standing pat So definitely keep an eye on me at Chop Up, Chop Down for some articles coming up. I like to stir the pot when it comes to trading our prospects away. So look for another possible trade article coming here pretty soon. So
I think to really be a contender, sometimes you got to make tough decisions.
I agree. Again, if you want to bring in someone like that, it's going to cost you. I mean, again, you look at the past when it comes to picking up big players, even if it's elite closers, what it has cost and prospects to the team doing the dealing. So, whether the fans like, Christian Pache or, or they like Drew Waters, it may cost a guy like that to pick up a guy that gets us to that championship. We can't just stock prospects all the time and hope that that's going to be the answer, especially when it's proven that we could use an elite closer. I mean, granted that, Luke Jackson's done to me, I think he's done a great job. So filling a role that he shouldn't be in, but man, he would be really good in the 8th inning, leading to a guy in the 9th inning. So what I could see is Sean Newcomb, Luke Jackson, and then a closer coming in, the 7th, 8th, 9th. Then our starters really only got to go 6 innings through. And that's how you build a playoff team. Keep your starters only having to go 6. So let's go into I think we had
Atlanta
United talk. Phil, get into Atlanta United talk, and then we got a contest going on that Phil wants to talk about too. So we'll throw that in since we're talking about United.
Yeah, so Atlanta United, it was a weird week. I kind of saw Wednesday coming. They went out to Chicago. You have the match with Red Bulls looming. You have Joseph coming back looming. They came out and laid an egg. They were down 3-0 by the 12th minute, and it just got worse from there. And, hey, it happens. So they lost that one 5-1 Sunday in, one of the most entertaining and also the most watched MLS match ever, higher than MLS Cup last year, which was hard for me to believe. Atlanta and Red Bulls, one of the probably the fiercest rivalry on the field in the league. 3-3 draw, absolute just madness of game. Lots of cards, lots of pushing, lots of shoving, a red card, 6 goals, 2 for Joseph. It looked like Atlanta United had control of the game. It had control of the match score-wise in the first half, but they got thoroughly outplayed in the first half. I think at one point I looked up, and the shots were like 7-1 for New York. But Atlanta, in the second half, they played great in that second half. But once again, we've seen the last month or so, a few defensive lapses really cost us. So, we're down 2-1, 79th minute. Joseph draws a penalty. Of course, he nets it. So he makes it 2-2. We head into stoppage time. Of course, there had been a lot of just stoppages and everything. And the refs only blew 5 minutes. In the first minute of stoppage time, Joseph just gets a stunner that barely goes over the line. People didn't even realize. I know most of the people around me, we didn't even realize it was a goal until the train horn started playing. It was just absolute madness. I've been to most games. That was the second loudest I've ever heard it in there, other than the MLS Cup. So it was looking like we were gonna win. We were up 3-2, and maybe a minute later they get the equalizer, and then there's more pushing and shoving, and the refs just blow it dead. So that was an interesting game. We come out with a point, but something, maybe it's being picky after last year, but something just isn't quite clicking right now. But we still find ourselves near the top of the table, so you can't complain too much. After that great run of defending and goalkeeping that we had, we're really allowing way too many goals right now. We've allowed more goals in the last 4 or 5 games than we have the entire rest of the season. So that really has to shore up. Just too many simple mistakes on the defensive line.
Do you think that there's a little bit of a struggle this year when it comes to stoppage time defense? It seems like there's been a problem.
It's actually it's been a theme in Atlanta United's history. We dropped I want to say 4 or 5 times we dropped points last year in stoppage time, or after the 85th minute, something we just got to close out. Fortunately, we held on in the playoffs last year, but yeah, there's just some simple, I don't know if it's communication or what, but that back line is just making a few mistakes, and every single time it proves to be costly. So we just got to shore that up. Hopefully we can get it together tomorrow at the U.S. Open Cup. We're playing a USL side in the quarterfinals. So 2 more wins, and that'll be another 3 more wins, and that'll be another trophy in our case. And also, first person to hit me up, I'll get you a pair of tickets tomorrow at KSU for the U.S. Open Cup match. So first person to DM me, say you want the tickets, they're yours.
We gotta make it interesting. Make them say, like, you gotta DM Phil, but you gotta say Open Cup, so that we know that you were watching our little podcast here. So you gotta say Open Cup. That's the secret word in Phil's DMs. And ladies, the DMs are always open for Phil, so jump on.
They are not open. They are not.
Come on, man! I was trying to win a date with you earlier today, and you wouldn't let me do that. What the heck? We're trying to get some ratings around here. So, hey, Derek, did you check out any of the women's soccer?
I did watch the final, and I mean they dominated throughout the whole game, and I mean it just took them a while to put a goal in, but I mean just the way the game was going, to me it felt like they were just dominating all throughout, and it was actually pretty fun to watch too. I was mad that I didn't get to catch any of the other games.
The thing was, they are so good, and that the hype I didn't think was there this year that it is normally for them, because they're just they're expected to win. I mean, they have amassed some of the best talent I've ever seen of women's soccer players, and it's just, and that's how you build a national team. Now, I mean, men or women, and the men just have never figured that part out. And it just seems to work. Even your elder statesmen there, they know their role, and they play it well. And I watched the finals, and I thought the same thing. It was just you could tell just that there was nothing going to be scored against them. But the goalie for the other team she was fantastic. She ended up winning the Golden Glove, I guess is what it is, or whatever that award is. So, and she deserved it. She was fantastic. But yeah, the Americans are just too powerful when it comes to U.S. soccer.
It seems like we're the only country that puts forth an effort to promote women's sports. I think I don't want to say it frowned upon us elsewhere, but it's just not as big of a focus as it is here, I think.
Yeah, though, I kind of disagree with you on that, Phil, because I think that when it comes, like me, honestly, I would say 2% interest in women's soccer. But when it comes to World Cup, I watch it like I'm the biggest fan ever, because it's supporting the U.S., not supporting women's soccer, I guess. I'm the same way though when it comes to the men's World Cup. I want my country to win, and I think other countries are like that. When they start seeing that their country's making a run through, I would say that Taiwan was probably not interested in the women's soccer after 17 goals scored against them. But teams that are decent, they'll get invested in their country. So it really all depends on how well you do. Again, when you make it to the finals of the World Cup, the ratings are going to be big. You're going to get enough eyes watching on you, from two countries. So, but yeah, it's always good to see. I always like to look and see what the how well it did, ratings wise. And especially there's the debate of disparity of pay, and to me, I usually that I just kind of keep out of that debate. But to me, the women are more interesting to watch than the men's soccer team. So that to me,
Mexico did. Mexico did beat the men 1-0 for the Gold Cup final. It was actually U.S. had 5, 6, 7 chances that they let go to the wayside. Once they missed like the second one, I was like, yep, Mexico's going to get one, and that's all they're going to need.
Oh, sorry, I'm froze again. I think I'm good again. All right, let's finish off with the disappointing Atlanta Dream. I can only say, yeah, I can only say this week after week. It was double disappointing because the win they got was against my Seattle Storm. So 77-66, they won. But then they lose a game that they should have won against Phoenix with Taurasi not playing. And again, it's just the same thing every time. I mean, I guess my question, Phil, is it time for a coaching change?
Nah, I gotta give her the season. I gotta see what happens when. Well, at this point, does Angel come back this year? No, I don't see the point. But the thing is, you're a 2-game win streak away from being in that playoff hunt because, like we said, 75% of the league makes the playoffs. So I just, man, Nikki's such a great person. So I want to see her at least finish out the year.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because we get the personal side of her as someone that we like, but man, something's wrong. Something is wrong there. I don't know what it is, and so then you got to start at the top, and that's a coaching change. It's just not working. I don't know if the Angel injury was ended up being as worse to the team chemistry as we think it is. She's really the only different piece. Yeah, I don't know, man. Do you follow any of the Dream stuff there, Derek?
No, I do not, unfortunately. Actually, probably fortunately this year's, because I mean they've been bad, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
I don't know, man.
I've seen our main man Malik talk about him a lot. So that's really all I know is what I've seen him say.
Yeah, again, it's been brutal. I mean, nothing going right whatsoever. Shooting has been the worst. I think the game that they played where they lost to the Liberty that I watched was the absolute worst shooting game I've ever seen in a pro basketball, women or men, in my life. They shot 26%, and I just couldn't believe they were dumb shots too. It was just bad. So I don't think they're making the playoffs. I think Nikki will be gone at the end of the year. I told the guys at the game on Sunday, I just think that she's lost the team now. So and so I think some type of change is going to have to be made. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on them. They got a few more games. I think their next game is against the Sun, Connecticut Sun. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. Not sure if is that another kids game or
is it home or is it away?
Yeah, it's home. So I'm thinking it must be another kids game or community game or something like that. So but it does. I just looked up.
They saw those ticket sales.
Yeah.
Let's do this again.
Yeah, they probably had. They didn't have at the Pride game. It was kind of disappointing. A little bit more than what they had been, advertised. There was a lot more tickets sold. I think there was like 2,500, but the actual people there was not 2,500. So, but
it's awful. I mean,
yeah. Again,
Seattle have these blower bowls full to capacity. In Minnesota, LA Sparks.
Yeah, with that you gotta again. I think they need to make the move to College Park, do it there, make it look fuller, and then and then go from there. So,
but also they gotta be hemorrhaging money paying for State Farm.
Oh yeah, definitely, I agree with you. So, but we'll call it off there. Phil, you got any shout outs?
Yeah, shout out to everybody supporting every single week. We definitely appreciate y'all. Just keep supporting, like, share, subscribe, 5-star, however else. come join us. Any of that good stuff. We see you out there. Appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it.
Derek, shout him out.
Yep. Everybody watching, we're definitely, I mean, what we're about to hit 30 next week, 30 show. So
that'll be a special one.
Yeah, Phil guys saw that, but we definitely appreciate everybody continue to support. Our views have went up. Sometimes it went down, but we had our highest view show about 2 weeks ago. So we hope that we continue to grow.
Yeah, shout out to everybody watching. It was nice to get the original crew back together again. Finally, there's been so much going on with work and school and everything like that. We finally are able to, all three of us, get together at the same time. But shout out to everybody in the YouTube chat. As always, we appreciate you talking with us and hanging out with us. But yeah, go and rate us 5 stars. We do this for you guys. So show us that by giving us some love on iTunes. But thanks for listening to the ATL Sports HQ live podcast, and we will see you guys next time.
Later.